You've had enough of that shit.
Hello. Check. 1, 2. Yup. Gotta get it ready. Gotta take that medicine. Here we go. Turn it down a little bit right there. Yeah. Welcome one, welcome all, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lion Villain Report. I am your host, Russell Wayne, the UDFA of sports podcasting, the unwanted, the unfiltered, the unapologetic voice of the fan base that bleeds Honolulu blue. All right, Villain Squad, gather around. It's Overreaction Monday, and if you're anything like me, you woke up this morning feeling like you got hit by a Jason Kelsey pancake block and Philly cheesesteak, a trap at the same time. The Lions walked into the city of brotherly shove and played a 16-9 defensive slugfest and walked out with a fat L stamped right on our forehead. And don't worry, Eagles fans, already printed the t-shirts for it because that's what they do. They're not throwing batteries or booing Santa. But let's talk about the real story. We missed Sam LaPorta like a phone misses its charger at 1%. The offense was out there searching for soft spots in zones like they were on a scavenger hunt with no clues. Goff wasn't playing efficient. He's playing tough, wasn't playing in rhythm, and he didn't have his security blanket. And defensively, both units bawled their tails off. This was a slugfest. This was trench warfare, and it was a bring your lunch pail, bring your helmet, and pray your chin strap holds. And if you wanted points, you really had to steal them. So here are some of the overreactions. Dan Campbell goes for it too much. The Lions lost because of a bad PI call. Just kick a damn field goal. I don't trust the offense without LaPorta. And listen, we're not going to be soft on this show. Dan Campbell built this team on identity, aggression, and refusing to back down. But sometimes that wins you in a shootout, but sometimes it costs you in a grinder. So that's the tax of being the bully. Occasionally, you swing and you miss. And I'll tell you this, I would rather have a coach who trusts his team and rather than one that wants to punt the season away. So this is a loss. It ain't a funeral. It's a wake-up call. Let's talk about it. Let's argue. Let's overreact. Let's be honest about who stepped up, who went missing, and why the Lions are still in control of their own destiny. The Lions are still in control of their own destinies because we're not done. We're not scared. And we damn sure ain't folding because of one cold night in Philly. So welcome to Overreaction Monday. The Villain is live. Let's cook. Drop your thoughts into the live chat. And this episode is brought to you by fanatics.com. That's right. If you bleed Honolulu blue, if you're rocking with the 313, then you need to gear up like the real one. And yeah, click that link in the description in the pinned comment or the QR code. Save up to 25% off of your order. Every click supports the channel and the page and lets the world know that Detroit fans do it bigger and they do it better. And the Villain Squad don't do knockoffs. We do official. We do fanatics. So get yours. You can connect with us. Getting close to 96,000 on Facebook. Help us plow the way all the way up to 100,000. That's the idea for this year. Let's get to 100,000. Liking, commenting, and sharing helps us get up in the algorithm and reach more people. If you're a fan of Detroit sports, I don't know why you're not following already. But if you're not a fan of Detroit sports, come in here and troll us a little bit. Got to let that do that because the villain doesn't hide from anybody. The villain doesn't go into witness protection when we lose. The villain stands up here and takes his L like a man. It's faith, family, then football on here. We use football. We don't let football use us. We don't let it change us when we lose. And that's our motto right here. But here we are. Here we are. It's not a victory Monday. So let's get in here and say hello to Big M.
You like that?
Who's one of the people up in here. Right there. Paul Jones is up in the house.
You like that?
Yep, Central Scrutinizer's up in the house. The UDFA.
You like that?
One
You
pride.
like that?
Yeah, not a good look for our Lions. And I got the comments right over there. So let's talk about this for a little bit. Let's buckle it up. Let's look at this loss right here. Let me bring this thing up. Turn this down a little bit. That's right. So the Lions go into Philly, and it's a defensive battle. Like, one thing that I like to do as a Lion fan, I try to be a little bit different than whatever's being shown out there. And if you've watched any of the media from today, if you've watched anything from the other content creators that are out there, there's plenty of people that are hating on the Lions already. You know, everything's wrong. Fire everybody. Basic overreaction after every loss. We have to overreact to everything. We have to fire people. Everything's wrong. When is everything going to get right? When you just lose to a team. You lost 16-9. A great defensive game. Not everybody likes these kind of games. But I'm one of the people that likes these kind of games where it's hard. It's hard for the whole game. And congratulations, I got nothing to say. Bear down, Mike. You're number one. And I don't think Ben Johnson would have anything. Ben Johnson wouldn't have done any better in this situation. I don't believe that. I think that's a cop-out that Ben Johnson would have made the interior of that offensive line all of a sudden block Jalen Carter and that defense coming through. That is a good-ass Philadelphia defense, and the Lions had plenty of chances. And we can argue about that, but, 16-9. So let's really look at this. Jared Goff. I'll bring it over here so I can see it better. Jared Goff, 14 of 37 for 255 yards and a touchdown and an interception. His lowest completion percentage of his career. Philadelphia was getting pressure in on him, like almost on every single play. Jalen Hurts, 14 of 28. He wasn't any better. As a matter of fact, he wasn't better. It is what it is. It was a defensive game. Neither one of the offenses got it going. It was that kind of game. It was very clear that it was that kind of game right from the get-go. Jahmyr Gibbs, only 12 carries for 39 yards. Saquon Barkley, not much better. 26 carries for 83 yards. And Jahmyr Gibbs did get 5 receptions, had over 100 yards receiving for the first time in his career. So there wasn't really much going on. You know, David Montgomery, maybe you could have argued that you should have given him more of a load in there because he actually averaged 4.5 yards a carry in there, but not much going on against that defense. They were able to make some of those screen passes work in there. Jamison Williams with another good game, 4 catches for 88 yards and a touchdown, but that was pretty much all on that one play. Had some drops. And I just got to, I put a shout out to Philly. They played a good game. I mean, what can you say other than Philly played a good game? You lost 16-9. It's not like they lost 100-0. There were encouraging things to take away from the game because I know that the sky is falling to most of the content creators that are out there, and I don't mind that either. Like, if you want to freak out and jump off the ledge, because right now, technically, the Lions, if the season ended today, they wouldn't be in the playoffs. Yeah, that's the reality of it. So, why did they lose? Well, I mean, there's a plethora of reasons. You could put it on a lot of different things. How much did the Lions miss Sam LaPorta? That's one of the things right there. I mean, I know that you miss a guy like Sam LaPorta in the red zone, where the Lions were in the red zone. They were 0 for 5 on 4th down. And, I mean, to me, offensively, that's the story of the game. It wasn't that the Lions weren't able to move the ball at all. They were able to move the ball a couple times, but they have to be able to finish out the drives. And especially when it came down to that 4th down and goal where they could have got a touchdown. I mean, you're missing Sam LaPorta. You're missing your red zone targets. So I got to put a shout out to Philly for playing good defense. And this isn't just good defense this week. They shut down the last 3 teams that they've played. Made, decent quarterbacks look really, really bad. But of course, Jared Goff's going to take all the slack like he's the only quarterback that's been abused by Philadelphia's defense. Oh, you can't win a Super Bowl with a quarterback that can't move around. Well, how did that work out for Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl? How did that work out for Jordan Love last week? It's a good defense. You just got to give credit where credit is due. And if I can take anything encouraging away from it's like defense wins championships. And the Lions defense is looking more and more like a legit defense week to week. Now they lost the game. But just like I heard Green Bay Packer fans talking last week, just like I heard Green Bay Packer fans talking last week, you give up 16 points, you should win that game. You should win that game. That's on your offense at that point. And then you can go deeper into that if you want. Goff and Saint couldn't connect. Yeah, 2 for 10. Or maybe it was 2 for 12. I don't remember how many targets that Amon-Ra St. Brown had, but they weren't together. They weren't in there. Third and 4th down. Yeah. Glasgow was a swinging door. I mean, the whole defense, they found a way to get pressure all the time. It was a defensive struggle. Some games are ugly. I mean, we can blame offense all day long if you want to, but sometimes you get in these games. I've told you about these games before. I've been on here talking about these games. Sometimes it's just one of those sledgy games where everything's going to be hard. Doesn't matter who you're playing. When you got a good defense, you're shutting down every team. Good defenses shut down good offenses. And sometimes it's not just as simple as saying, oh, this guy had a bad game. Well, good defenses make great players have bad games. Jalen Hurts had a bad game. Saquon Barkley didn't have a good game either. A.J. Brown didn't have a good game. So when you're in a defensive struggle like that, you know, the big plays come at a premium. Points come at a premium. So, and that's where you can make the argument, and I'll allow you to make this argument. It's fine. You make the argument that Dan Campbell goes for it too much, right? I mean, is that too much? You got to know when to hold him. You got to know when to fold him. Is Dan Campbell being too aggressive? Or is he just being Dan, and we got to live with it? I mean, you can argue the field goals, okay? You know, if they would have kicked a couple of those field goals, sure. But if they would have gotten one of those fourth downs, especially the one in the end zone, you got to tie a game. You know, you got to be able to execute within your identity. Is the post-traumatic same old Lions creeping in? The Bears got to win. So here, I mean, the landscape has changed a lot. Now, it's not the end of the season. But if the Lions ended the season today, they would not be in the playoffs. And that's a reality that we have to face, and we can face it together. Are you freaking out? Do you think that the Lions are going to get themselves back into playoff contention again? Or are we in trouble? Because here you go. You got the New York Giants coming to town. Jameis Winston licking his fingers. Whatever that is. They're coming to town. And the thing is you got a couple games here down the stretch that are pretty hard. So these games, this Giants game, I'm going to treat it a lot like what I said the Commanders game was. It's the most important, unimportant game of the year. It is now the most important game of the year because you can't lose to the Giants. Because if you lose to the Giants, then you start backpedaling. Because then you got the Green Bay Packers coming to town. So you have to take care of business. You need to go to 7-4 when you're facing the Packers. You have to be at 7-4. There's no excuse, zero excuses to not beat the New York Giants. There are zero excuses for you to get swept by the Green Bay Packers. If you want to take yourself serious, Lions, I want to take you serious. I am taking you serious. I still think after the loss, I'm probably one of the only content creators that'll say that they're still Super Bowl contenders. They just are. But if you lose to the New York Giants, I may have to revisit. You have to make me revisit this. But I was thinking to myself last night on this loss, and I'm thinking, like, this team is good. The Lions team is good. And I'm thinking, man, what's going on? And it reminded me of 2022, right after the Lions started 1-6. They just lost to the Buffalo Bills. And something happened in that game that's very similar than what happened in this game. But it was opposite. It was the offensive explosion. And you could really see how good the offense could be. And that was when, hell, DeAndre Swift was still here. And you could see that the Lions were going to be a real team. And I was like, right after that game, I said, man, the Lions are going to win the rest of their games for the season. Like 8 games left in the season. And they ended up winning 7 of them. But you could tell this defense, this Lions defense, quietly has been getting better week to week to week. So this isn't some outlier. Lions defense was very good against the Washington Commanders, and they were very good the week before against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But all the Lions need to do is get into the playoffs. Some people in here could probably argue that it's better that the Lions aren't going to vie for the 1 seed. Don't want to get that 1 seed. You don't want that bye. It's like, I would almost rather the Lions have their backs up against the wall and play 3 straight road games to get into the Super Bowl. That just seems like the kind of team that we are. And, being the favorites, that never does well for the Lions. Can't be the favorites. Can't have everybody liking on you. For some reason, they do better when their back's up against the wall. And it's been over 3 years since they've lost 2 games in a row. And I don't believe that the Giants are going to be the one to break that streak with Jameis Winston. And if they do, then we got to come on here next Monday and we got to have a very hard conversation that sets up a long rest of the season for the villain here. And I'm not ready to go there yet. They had a bad game offensively. They had a bad game offensively last night. Not defensively. You can't ask that defense to play any better than that. You can, but, to only give up 16 points where you gave them the ball on your side of the field after a fake punt. You gave them the ball on our side of the field like 3 times in that game, and you only gave up 16 points. I mean, I think a lot of content creators are glossing over that. We're so upset about the loss. And, you got to fire everybody. Brad didn't make any trades, blah, blah, blah. Whatever reason that you're justified. Every time the Lions lose, all of that stuff bubbles up to the top. And we got to talk about it. And that's okay. You can have that opinion. If you want to freak out after every loss, that's fine. But to me, that just shows that you're a new fan. This isn't losing, guys. I remember what it's like to actually lose a lot of games in a row and really not to have hope that you can win more games. I mean, I think that the Lions are probably going to be favored in the next 4 games. They're not. It's not like you fell off the face of the earth. You lost to the ex-Super Bowl champions. Last year's Super Bowl winner that appears to have gotten better. And, or at least defensively, you got those young players that they had, and they look good. No matter what, who the Lions got the trade deadline or they didn't get at the trade deadline or any of the players, no matter what, you're going to have to face the Eagles, and the Eagles aren't going to be an easy out. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you reincarnate Jerry Rice and, you bring in Lawrence Taylor. Philadelphia's here. They ain't going nowhere. Even if the Lions would have beaten them, you still got to go into the playoffs and you got to beat teams like Philly. You ain't getting around that, and it doesn't matter who you bring in. Might give you a little bit better of a chance in your eyes or whatever. But I think this team's locked and loaded and ready to go, man. I'm not freaking out about this. I'm not freaking out about this. Oh, let me see if I can get this other thing in here. Did you get it done? It's because I got a new clip here that I wanted to show to you guys. And I just made it, and I'm not even 100% sure if this even turned out yet because I just made this. And I know some of you feel like Dan goes for it a little bit too much. That, you know, he should be a little less aggressive. You left points on the board, or you left points out there. You could have had those points, and if you would have just kicked the field goals, you could have won the game. You would have won the game because of your field goals. But here you go. Here's some new baby Jericho for you. Never seen before.
Oh, Danny boy. You want to go for him on every fourth down, huh? You want to keep rolling the dice like this is Vegas instead of a football game? Well, do you, Dan? You think every drive's a WWE main event? You think you're invincible because you drink 12 cups of coffee before kickoff? Let me tell you something, man. Analytics don't mean a thing if you're handing the other team field position like you're giving away free t-shirts. Do you know what happens when you turn down 37 fault goals? Huh? When you treat 4th and 7 like it's 2nd and short? You know what happens when you ignore logic, play call like a madman, and take points on the board? Dan Campbell, you just made the list!
Dan Campbell made the list this week, man. Baby Jericho is not happy. Baby Jericho is not happy. Frank, you asked me, did I smoke? Did I smoke? I shouldn't incriminate myself, Frank. Frank. See, Frank's the overreactor right here. Look at our conference wins. We won't make the playoffs. Well, look at our conference wins. Well, we beat the Bears. There's one conference win. We beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's another conference win. The Washington Commanders, that's a conference win. Who are the other wins? We got Browns. That's AFC. Bengals, that's AFC. Ravens, that's AFC. Okay. So there you go. We got 3 conference wins. And we're going to go for 4 conference wins this week. So, but that's all right. I mean, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I know that seasons are long. And, you know, the ebbs and flows of the season. I watched this happen last year. I mean, we had 2 losses last year. And on both of the losses, I actually had people in a 15-2 season. You know, when we lost that second game, come in here and say that they wanted people fired. It's like, you know, losing happens. And hey, Broski, you feel better now? I had to talk Broski off the ledge. I had to tell him that his team was good. See, Broski is the ultimate hard ass. He's hard ass on his own team. So I expect him to come in here and give us some shit. And he deserves it. You know, Bears are on top of the NFC North. You know, it's been a while since they've been on top. You know, I think they had a couple weeks in last year where they were on top, you know. And if the Lions would have won last night, they would have only been on top for like a couple hours. But now, the Bears, you know, congratulations, broski. It's been a while for this. But the Bears are sitting all alone, looking down with a hard look down at the bottom there. You get another crack at the Lions later. You get Green Bay twice, and I know you got to feel that you're better than Green Bay. You feel like you can beat Green Bay, broski? I feel like this is the year. I think this is the year that the Bears are going to break that curse, that maybe even embarrass, you know. Ben Johnson, he wants to get that victory over the Packers. I know the Lions won irks you a little bit, but I know that you guys got a different level of hate for the Green Bay Packers. You have to. But congratulations, buddy. There you go. This may be the year that the Bears take the North. But the cool thing is no matter what happens here, so the Lions already have a victory over the Bears, and they're one game behind, which still means that 3 out of the 4 teams in this division, this is a cool thing, broski. 3 out of 4 of the teams in this division control their own destiny. You just got to win the games. You got to win the games in front of you. If you win the games in front of you, then you, like the Bears, you just got to win your games. You're ahead. But the Lions are in the same spot. You just got to win your games. You know, you go and you take care of your business. You stay ahead of Green Bay. If you get that victory on Thanksgiving, then you're ahead of Green Bay. If the Lions go in and they beat the Bears again, they're in control of their own destiny. So even if we have the same records, they would win the tiebreaker. So the Lions, even at 6-4 right now, are still in control of their own destiny. And I guess that really doesn't matter, but, you know, it's nice to know that all you got to do is do the winning. You just got to take care of you. You don't have to depend on nobody else losing. And you got that division. All 3 teams can say that. But the Lions, man, I didn't pull any punches over the weekend. You asked me, like, I'm a little bit scared of this team, this Philadelphia team, especially meeting them how we were, you know, finding out Sam LaPorta out 2 days before the game on IR. That's a tough one, man. And then all the secondary. Philadelphia is hard enough to beat, like, when you're at full strength. Yeah, but hey, Frank, check back with me at the end of the season. I used to drink the same Kool-Aid when I was younger. I drank all of that Kool-Aid that you drank, Frank. I just choose to stay positive no matter what. For one, it doesn't matter. So to me, to be negative is a waste of time. It's a waste of time because if you lose, you lose. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they're not going to win because they've never win. We're cursed and blah, 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 all this stuff. It's just a waste of time. That's it. You know, I just choose to look at it differently. This team right here that the Lions have is better than any team Barry Sanders was on. We got a better team. And they're 6-4. It's not like we're sitting at a losing record. It's a good game, man. It was a good defensive game. Defensive games are hard to watch, but I mean, I'm not a. When I look at defensive games, I guess I just don't. I don't look at it like, oh man, look at what Jared Goff isn't doing. When I see a good defensive game, it's just like when a lot of people watch the offense. Offense is more exciting. Like if I can make my face red with being pissed off because the defense is so good, they're getting pressure. It's just a grimy, like sludgy game. I mean, really, when you think about how to win championships, how a team wins championships, it's done by defense, right? So if anything, you look at last night's game, and well, really the last 3 games that the Lions have had on defense, and the defense is starting to gel, man. Like these Pro Bowl and all-pro players, and this is without Kirby Joseph. This is with using, whoever in the secondary. This is a good defense. Lions got a good defense. And to me, covering up a bad defense with a good offense is harder than covering up a bad offense with a good defense. I would rather have the elite, and know that my defense is elite. If I have to make a choice, I would take the good defense. And we have a good offense. We have an offense that can score. Okay? Just because I had a bad game yesterday doesn't mean that they're just done. And just saying that all of our success on offense has only came on bad defenses is lazy. That's just not true. They've been able to run to score touchdowns on any defense. Just depends on what game you're playing. There's nothing that happened in yesterday's game that is final. But good defense, that's how, once your offense comes around, if you're still playing good defense, then you can win a championship with that recipe. Offense had a bad game, but that doesn't mean that Jahmyr Gibbs and the offensive line won't figure it out. That was Jalen Carter. And Jordan Davis. Those guys wrecked Patrick Mahomes' day in the Super Bowl. That's a lunch pail game. If you're going to beat the Eagles, the Lions face the Eagles again. I'm not going to sit up here and say, oh yeah, we're going to go in there and we're going to smash them the next time. No, if you play the Eagles, you're going to have to get in a game like that. You're going to have to be prepared to get into a long game that has great defensive play, and it's going to be gritty and grimy for the whole game. You're not going to win some double-digit win against Philly. You're probably not going to score 30 points against Philly. Like I said last week, you get yourself to 24 points in this game, and it wasn't even that much, but you're going to have to hold Philadelphia to 24 points if you're going to beat them. They're not unbeatable. You can beat Philly. But you got to hold them. You got to be able to hold their offense. Yeah, the Bears got to go play Philly. That's a great measuring stick game for the Bears. You want to see how good you are? Go run that offense against Philly's defense. I knew they'd be good on defense. I knew they'd give us a hard time. But the Lions had their chances in this game. Jared Goff still threw for 225 yards. He was able to get some stuff down there. They had some drop passes, batted down passes. That's something Goff at 6'4" probably isn't used to having happen as much, as some of these 6-foot quarterbacks that are the speedsters. Goff isn't used to having passes batted down. And I think Jalen Carter had 3 batted down passes. Jordan Davis had a batted down pass. I don't know how many batted down passes there were in the whole game on them, but they were able to get their hands up. That's pretty good to be able to do that. And Goff did throw Goff bails out on plays, but a lot of people, I can't believe he's throwing it at people's feet. Well, some of those throws were designed by their feet because you don't want to throw a hospital ball and you don't want to take a chance at turning the ball over. But, you think of the game, that game was close, man. And as we're getting towards the last topic I want to hit in here, and it's the least one, because I don't really like talking about this, but we got to talk about the controversial call at the end. So we talked about 4th downs. We talked about how the defense is balled out. Both defenses. And how much that the Lions offense missed Sam LaPorta. That loss can't be understated, especially when you get down in the red zone, man. But I am going to talk about that controversial call at the end. And I saved it for last because I'm not into subscribing that the Lions got screwed because of the referee call. But here's what I'll say about the PI call. It was bullshit. It was a bunk call. It was the wrong call. It wasn't a PI. And it was a bad call. And I have to give it precedence because one thing I don't like to do is to say you lost because of this. And I'm not saying like they lost, but NFL fan lost because of this call. NFL fan lost. Philadelphia fan lost because of this call. Because that defense played way too good to put any type of controversy on the end of this game. Especially when that defense was playing that good against Jared Goff. Why didn't you just let that go and let it happen? And let that give that game the proper ending. The ending didn't need to be like that. Why did you have to do that? Why did you have to make that call? The chances are, and here's the honest truth. You want the villain to be honest with this? Here's the honest truth. The Lions offense was playing like shit the entire day. They didn't need to make that call. They could have punted it back to the Lions. The chances are the Lions probably would have went 3 and out and the game would have been over. The chances of them going down the field and scoring a touchdown after the way that they had been playing, with Philadelphia being able to pin their ears back on that last bit, chances are the Lions wouldn't have done it. They would have still lost the game. Why did you make the call? The only thing that you did was ruin the proper ending to a real football fan like me. You ruined the ending of the game. Think about how exciting that game could have been. Because that if the Lions did get the ball there and drive all the way down the field and score a touchdown, do you think that there's any chance that they wouldn't have went for 2 and had the last play of the game be for the game? You realize that you ruined that possibility? You ruined it. That's why you play football. And that doesn't even mean, I mean, forget it was the Lions for a second. Even if that was Packers-Bears, I want to see the ending of the game. Don't make a BS PI call at the end. You ruined the ending of the game. Nobody wants to see the game end like that. A ghost PI call and they kneel down. That's boring. Even as a Packer fan, Steve. Even as a Packer fan, you wanted to see the real ending of that game. Because the chances are the game would have ended with Jalen Carter standing over top of Jared Goff on a sack with the time running out. That's probably the way that it would have ended. But you stole that. You stole that away. You know, Philadelphia will take the victory, but in the back of their minds, they wanted it too. The refs didn't cost the Lions that game. They costed the football fan the proper ending to that game. The proper ending of that game should have been a defensive stop or a touchdown. Tell me I'm wrong. Fight that. You want to argue with that? Argue with a wall. That PI call stole the proper ending of that football game away from the football fan. Tell me I'm wrong. And I'm not going to sit up here and defend the way that Jared Goff played or the way that the Lions played or say that that PI call made the Lions lose and they would have won the game if it wasn't for the rest. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the defense, like, am I supposed to fault the defense now? What am I supposed to go to Rock Ya-Sin and be like, hey, don't be near the other receiver because, he didn't commit a PI. It was a bad call. Should have been a punt. They would have punted the ball right there. And the Lions would have had one more chance to do it. No timeouts. Drive down the field or get stopped. That's the ending that we deserved. Drive down the field or get stopped. Say, I'm glad I'm not getting much pushback in here because it's just like wrestling when the ref makes a fast count. It was Eddie Guerrero, lie, cheat, and steal. Philadelphia didn't deserve to go out like that. That defense played well enough to win that game legitimately. And they probably would have anyway. But now I have to go, well, we never know. Since everybody likes to cite old games that the Lions didn't play well in. Oh, Jared Goff, remember when he threw 5 interceptions in a game? Yeah, I remember that game. I remember how awful it was. And then on the last play of the game, or the last drive, they were able to drive down and win the game. Despite throwing 5 interceptions and having an awful game, he was able to do it. So, for you to say that Goff had no chance or the Lions had no chance just because they played bad earlier in the game, that's a cop-out and you know it. That's a cop-out. But that PI call, it ruined the end of the game. Because now you force people to ask the question, what if? What if? I just gave you an example right there. Goff played like garbage at best. Overthrowing everyone. The only one person to blame today is Goff. That's fair. That's fair. But that still doesn't give them the right to not give the ending the proper ending. That takes away just as much from Philly as it does the Lions. Philly won the game. They'll take the game, so they'll probably just call me out for crying. And I'm not crying about it. I'm crying about the proper ending. Like, Philadelphia played well enough to end that game with Goff on his back. Because Brandon's right. Brandon's right. Goff played like garbage. So the call was unnecessary. The chances are Philadelphia would have just peeled their ears back and stopped them again. And then the game would have been over. No controversy. And then you just look at it and go, wow. Or I look at it and I go, wow, what a great defensive game that was. I mean, nobody's going to talk about how bad Jalen Hurts played because they won the game. And nobody knows more than that more than Steve. You know, they just beat Green Bay 10-7. And Green Bay has a really, really good defense. And by the way, Steve, the only reason you only gave up 10 and we gave up 16 is because we have a shooter and we gave them the ball in that really, really good field position. But honestly, if I take anything positive away from the game, is that Lions defense is looking like it's going to be really, really good. And you're not done getting better yet. The defense is really starting to gel together. You know, and they did it without some of their best players. Kelvin Shepard's got that defense playing really, really good. See this right here. It's like we agree with each other half of the way. The call was unnecessary. I don't think that the call decided the game. Because I do believe if that they wouldn't have called that the Lions wouldn't have won the game. I don't think that the Lions would have won the game. I mean, Jared Goff would have had to pull a Houston Texans in order for them to do that. Where Goff threw 5 interceptions. Well, he did it when it mattered. And then, you know, Goff runs a pretty good 2-minute drill. But Philadelphia was playing really good defense. And I just feel like they would have won anyway. We'd still be sitting here in the 16-9. But one thing is for sure that if the Lions would have went down and scored and made it 15-16, you know they would have went for 2. There would have been no overtime. Oh, see, I'm going to call you out on this one before I get out of here. Yeah, we held them to 10 points and we still couldn't win. Our 3 losses, we lost by only 3 points. You also have a couple wins that were like that too. So before you give me this, we could be undefeated thing, remember you could also be 3-6. By the way, 75% of all NFL games are 3 points or less. Just saying. Oh, man. This is the Lion Villain Report. My name is Russell Wayne, and I am your host. Thank you, everybody, for popping in here. Is Dan Campbell too aggressive on 4th down? That was one of the questions I asked. And you can write me something in the comments about that. What did you think of the Lions defense in that game? Who should be fired? I guess. I don't know. Since we're overreacting. Overreaction Monday. Everybody jump off the ship. But the truth is, the fact of the matter is that if the season ended today, the Lions would not be in the playoffs. They'd be just on the outside of it. And that's reality. They're going to have to fight their way back into playoff contention. Comes with winning games. Starts next week. You got to beat those Giants. And if you watch the Giants versus the Green Bay Packers, the Packers barely won that game. And I don't think that the Giants are some soft team. They do have a good defense. They have a good defensive front. So that's one of those things, man. So this is the Villain Report. I'm Russell Wayne. Make sure that you connect with me. Hit that like button. Get through here. If you're a fan of Detroit sports, you should be following. Help me get to 100,000. The Villain wants to get to 100,000. We're at 96,000. So if you're not following the page, follow the page and tell your buddy to follow the page, especially if they're Lions fans or trolls of Lions fans. We got Steve's not really a troll, but Steve's a Packer fan. He watches. Broski's a Bear fan. He watches. I don't know if we have any Viking fans in here, but I know that Jason MC, he's a Viking fan. I don't know if he's in here. But connect with me. Hit that like button. Help me get up in the algorithm so this can find some more people that are Lions fans. That's what it does. That's what it does. It's faith, family, and then football. We use football. Don't let football use you. Don't let losses change you. It's just football. It's no big deal. You know, if you're a Lion fan, or at least an old school Lion fan, you're used to losing. So I'll take any of this winning stuff. Hopefully the Lions can make it into the playoffs and have another shot at getting that Lombardi trophy. Because all you got to do is get in. And then anything can happen. Feeling like that. But, ooh, yeah, the Macho Man Randy Savage is here. Yeah, it's a UDFA. Yeah, sports podcasting. Yeah. The Macho Man's gonna come back home. He's gonna be mad. Yeah, he's gonna get them Giants in here. But how you defeat a Giant? You throw him down on the ground, climb to the top rope, deliver the elbow right into the middle of the heart of Jameis Winston. Yeah, dig it? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. How dare you doubt me? I'm Donald Schwarzenegger. Get to the chopper. Do it now. We lost to the Rams. Ah, I can't believe it.
It's my quarterback.
It's Matt Stafford. Ah. Enough carried away. I got too carried away there. But hope to see you guys on tomorrow's episode. I don't know if I'll be doing it tomorrow, but at least Wednesday. I'll let you guys know if I'm doing another one this week. Possibly tomorrow. We'll have to see how the schedules go. Like I said, I have a lot of personal things that are tying it up right now, so I'm not able to do 5 days a week at this point, but I guarantee that I'll be up here again doing that. So may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you until we meet again in Jesus' name. Amen, everybody. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for watching today. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
Oh, Danny boy, you want to go for him on every fourth down, huh? You want to keep rolling the dice like this is Vegas instead of a football game? Well, do you, Dan? You think every drive's a WWE main event? You think you're invincible because you drink 12 cups of coffee before kickoff? Let me tell you something, man. Analytics don't mean a thing if you're handing the other team field position like you're giving away free t-shirts. Do you know what happens when you turn down 37 fault goals? Huh? When you treat 4th and 7 like it's 2nd and short? You know what happens when you ignore logic, play call like a madman, and take points on the board? Dan Campbell, you just made the list!